Hello, friends.
Hi.
It's me again, Dr. Ken, and this evening I am not with Neisha Solace-Berry. I have a special guest that I've flown in all the way from California to be with me this evening. Miss Kim Howerton, the ketonist,
Hey, guys.
is in the house. If you know Kim, if you've seen her before and watched her videos, then say hi to Kim in the comments. I'm excited that she's here. I don't know. She seems a bit reticent, but
I am not. I'm trying not to yell on your live.
no, you can yell. It's
Okay,
totally
can
fine.
yell here?
Yeah, we
It's
yell
like
all
a
the time.
pro yelling zone.
Hey, Mitzi Champion. How's it going? Hey, Mary. There's Holly. And Holly from Kansas. Two Hollies. Hey, Diana. So for the next hour, we're going to be answering as many questions as we can for you about the ketogenic way of eating, Ketovore, carnivore, fasting, health, nutrition, medicine, low carb, primal, vegan, literally all the nutrition and all the medicine. If we can give you an answer, we will give you an answer. If we can't give you an answer, we'll just say, go see your doctor. Yeah. And right up front, I am a doctor. Kim is not a doctor. But tonight, I'm not your doctor. This is just two people talking on YouTube and Facebook Live. And so anything you hear tonight, run it by your doctor before you implement it into your health optimization strategy. Hey, Francis. Hey, Gina. Hey, Aaron, Noreen, Aaron, Peggy. All right, let's go.
All right.
Let's go, guys. If you got questions, type them in the comments. But first, I want to know where you're watching from. There's Jenny in Plant City, Florida. What city, what state, what country? Where are you at right now in the world?
Where are you coming from?
Type it in the comments so we can say hi to you. Hey, Beth. Hey, Jackie.
Maryland, all over. Wow.
That's what I'm talking
So many
about.
places.
So many places. I love it. People all over the world are sick and tired of being sick and tired. They want to feel better. They want to look better. They want to perform better. And eating a proper human diet is what's going to get you that.
All right.
John in Australia. Lisa from Dixon, Illinois. You know, when I was growing up, I called it Illinois.
Yeah.
I didn't know better. I was just a little redneck kid.
I get it. My dad's people are from Arkansas, and I didn't understand why it wasn't called Arkansas.
Arkansas, it should be, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Oh, man, we got people all over the
all
world.
over.
If you know a friend or a family member who always wants to catch this live, but they always forget it, now's the time to text them, send them a direct message, tag them in the comments so they get a notification so that they know that now is the time to ask their question.
Absolutely. I'm looking for a question to come in.
Well, everybody is telling us where they're
from.
Okay. So
all right, I'm playing Neisha's on tonight's episode.
There you go.
All right. Does keto
stop it. However you have to.
Hold on.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
All right. I'm learning how to Neisha. All right. So does keto or carnivore work well for chronic kidney disease?
Yeah, 100%. Dr. Jason Fung, who is a kidney specialist, and I have both seen multiple people with stage 1 CKD, which stands for chronic kidney disease, stage 2, stage 3, and beyond, improve their kidney function by eating a proper human diet. And that can be very low carb with real whole one ingredient foods. It could be keto, ketovore, carnivore. Any of those are going to give your kidneys the best fighting chance of survival that they could possibly have. The thing that destroys kidneys is if you have a chronic spikes in blood sugar, chronic elevation of insulin. Those are the things that destroy your kidneys, chronic inflammation. So if you want to protect your kidneys, regardless of what degree of chronic kidney disease you have, you need to lower the carbohydrates drastically, get rid of all the sugar, get rid of all the grains, get rid of all the vegetable oils and shortening and fake stuff, and eat real meat and real veg. And we've seen many people with stage 2 CKD go back to a stage 1. We've seen stage 1 go back to normal kidney function. So 100% yes is your answer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you can just grab one of these until another.
Okay. how do you measure if you're fat adapted? Is that something that you can actually measure?
I don't know if you can actually measure it, but there are several feelings that you get and several things that you can notice. I actually have a YouTube video about how to know if you're fat adapted. So the thing that I could tell was that I just had a very calm, content alertness. And so before I had brain fog, I was distracted. I've got terrible ADD anyway, but I was able to actually focus and actually be productive. That was one thing I noticed. What's some other things that you?
Yeah, it's a change, like a really noticeable change in your hunger levels.
Yep.
And even when you feel like I could eat, you're not overwhelmed by feelings that you need to eat. And it's really a subtle process. And I think the way that people talk about it, like that you're adapted, people think of it as black or white, but it's really more of a continuum.
Yeah, it's a gradual process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when there are apparently ways you can study it in a lab, like I think they have to do muscle biopsies and things like that. But what they notice is they might be somewhat adapted at 4 weeks, more adapted at 6, and it continues and it continues and it continues. And so they've noticed that you're still having improvements a year later. So I think people get a little hung up on this idea, like something will lightning bolts, blow the doors off, change.
No, I think that's a great point. I think a lot of people are expecting that light switch moment.
Yeah.
And it's a gradual transition. It's not a yes or no, one or zero. For some people, it takes a few hours. For some people, it takes a few weeks. And so the way you're going to know that is just watch my YouTube video about how to know you're fat adapted. And I go over all the different things, but it's a process. It doesn't happen instantaneously.
Right. And the good news is that the benefits are just happening naturally. It's not like you need to it's not a math equation.
Exactly.
It's just going to happen.
Yeah. It's just an improvement in your overall being, your sense of well-being, and the way your body burns fuel.
All right. I'm looking at the message. See if they're not there. That's what I'm getting, which is weird.
We
got one. What's the best way to do carnivore if I work 12-hour shifts?
Yep. So most people who eat fatty meat carnivore just automatically implement some intermittent fasting into their daily routine without even trying, because protein is very, very satiating. That means it keeps you full for a long time. You don't get hungry. Fat is also very satiating. It gives you a sense of fullness for many hours after you eat. So if I was still working 12-hour shifts at the ER, which I did for quite a while, I would wake up before my 12-hour shift, get ready, go to work. I'd have some black coffee. I'd maybe put a little butter or heavy cream if I was feeling a little hungry, and I would just go do my work. I would go work my shift, and that way you've got 12 hours into your day. You've got the 8 hours that you slept plus the 12 hours that you worked. That's a 20-hour fast, right? That's beautiful. And then you've got a 4-hour feasting window when you get off work. Now, you don't have to go 20 hours. If you wanted to, you could just say, I'm going to work my first 6 and then eat. That's still a 14-hour fast, right? And so either way you can do that. Now, none of that's required. If you wanted to, you could have some bacon and eggs every 4 hours. But I promise you, you're not going to want bacon and eggs every 4 hours because you're going to be so satiated. You're going to be so full. So what else would you add?
Well, yeah, I think just to piggyback on that, some people find when they go keto and their hunger with that fat adaptation process, it helps the hunger a lot. And they do great with breakfast and dinner, and they feel no need for lunch, right? So they might eat first thing in the morning before they get to work or whatever time of day that is, and then they eat like at the end of their shift, and then they do great. So I think it's really about listening to what your body tells you will give you the best energy through your day. But doesn't seem a problem. It's maybe just something to work out the logistics of, which might include packing some fatty meat for your day if you need to.
Yep. Bacon and eggs for the win. Right.
Well, this is more of a comment than a question, but Dennis says, Doc KB, I think that's you.
Yep.
I see your transformation over the past few years, a walking ad for what Carno does for health and skin. You look better. I'm sure many people comment on that. I thank you for your info.
Thank you very much for the super chat, Dennis. I've got one. Where did that go? Right here. Allie P said, how should someone eat who has had colitis, C. diff, and is in need of restoring gut health? Thank you. Excellent question. millions of people in the U.S. alone suffer from some kind of gut dysfunction, whether it's Crohn's, irritable bowel, ulcerative colitis. You had a bad case of C. diff colitis, which is rough. I'm glad you recovered from that. But you do need to kind of baby and pamper your colon until it's completely healed. So with any of those conditions, the diet that I have found as a doctor and from the feedback of tens of thousands of people is that the carnivore diet is the gentlest diet for your colon. So you got your small intestine, and then you got your large intestine or colon. And colitis is an infection or inflammation in your colon. So meat is digested in the upper third of your small intestine. Meat never makes it to your large intestine. Now, you'll hear vegans out there say what they're repeating what they've heard and they believe is that meat rots in your colon and meat's very rough. None of that's true whatsoever. Meat never even makes it to your jejunum, which is the third part of your small intestine, much less makes it through the ileocecal valve into your colon. It doesn't happen. So every one of those conditions I mentioned earlier gets relief from a carnivore diet. So for you, Allie P, you could do 30 days, 60 days, 90 days of beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, and give your colon a chance to completely heal and recover. You'll also be adjusting your gut bacteria so that your microbiome is so resilient and so strong, C. diff will pack its bags and leave, and you won't have to worry about that anymore. Great question.
Craig has a question. Have you heard of Dr. Stash Gominak? And if so, what do you think the connection between sleep, the gut, vitamin B, and D vitamins?
I have not heard of Dr. Stash, but I think that sleep, I think the gut, I think B vitamins, and I think vitamin D are all very important. And I think that you're going to get all those vitamins in a proper human diet. And sleep's very important. You should prioritize your sleep and make sure that you're getting good, uninterrupted, quality sleep every night.
Stacey,
you heard of that guy? Stash?
I've never known.
Dr. Stash? Never heard of him.
No, good name, though.
I'll look him up. I wish my name was Stash Berry.
Stash? Yeah.
I used to have a mustache.
You did?
Back when it was sort of cool.
In the 80s?
Sort of
You could
cool.
be ironic now.
I could. I thought I wanted, for Halloween,
Oh.
I wanted to shave all this and just have a big fat walrus mustache, and then also shave a male pattern baldness.
I believe this Neisha vetoed this
She
idea.
vetoed it. I thought it would be the funniest thing ever. She's like, what if it sticks that way? I'm like, well, I don't think it will, but it would be hilarious. What do you guys think about that?
You can vote on that.
How funny would that be with me just a full pate of baldness and a big fat porn stash?
You should perhaps just really respect the blessings that you
No,
have
I
hair
do.
on top of your head.
So thankful, but it'd still be funny.
Yeah, okay.
It'd be funny.
Stacey has a question.
Okay.
Not about your stash.
Okay.
Which is, my question is, can you get too much electrolytes? Been putting in a stick with every water bottle, feeling good, but my feet are very swollen.
That may be a little too much for you. With normal kidney function, unless you're just cramming electrolytes into your body in an unnecessary fashion, your kidneys are going to clear that out. You'll just urinate the extra electrolytes away. But that may be, if you're doing I guess she means like a pixie stick.
Those little stick.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of depends. Like brand for brand, different brands, the stick pack's going to have a different amount. But if you mean something like Redmond's or Element, both, they have quite a bit per stick pack. So.
For the next week, if I were you, I'd do the following experiment. I would take my pixie stick and cut the top off and then pinch it in the middle. And then just do it so you're doing half.
Or else do a twice as big glass of water.
Or twice as much water. Exactly right. But I worry that you're drinking too much water because that can also make you have some edema if you're just drinking an unnecessary amount of water. And the reason I bring that up is so many people, especially people who need to lose weight, it has been beat into their head that they need to guzzle water all day long every day because that somehow magically helps you with weight loss.
Yeah.
That's not true. That's a myth. Okay. Got a YouTube video about it. It goes into the science. You need to drink water if you're thirsty. If you're not thirsty, why are you drinking?
I really think that advice to drink a ton of water when you're dieting is just based on the fact that most traditional diets sort of starve you.
Yes.
And you're just desperate for something in your stomach.
Exactly right. And I think the advice given by the experts is well-intentioned. I think they mean the best because they think, well, that's going to take up space in your stomach, so you won't be as hungry. They forget that water's completely absorbed out of the GI tract in just a minute or two. It's literally sucked out of your stomach almost as fast as you can drink it. They forget that it has no nutrition in it whatsoever, so it doesn't trigger any of your satiety hormones, right? So you're still just as hungry. You just got a temporary stomach full of water. So if you've been drinking tons of water thinking that's going to help something, that may actually be causing the edema. So half a pack of electrolytes and just drink water if you're thirsty.
Good advice. Can keto cause anxiety from PLS?
Anything is theoretically possible, but I don't think I've ever gotten a single comment about anxiety. And I'm talking about not just I'm an anxious person, but I'm talking about diagnoses of generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, agoraphobia. All of these guys report without exception that I've seen that their anxiety improves with keto or carnivore.
I will say that there are times during adaptation periods, like when you first start keto,
especially if you're going through sugar or carb withdrawal. Yeah, definitely.
When you first start carnivore, there can be adaptation periods, and in these adaptation periods, some people do report increased anxiety, and I think that's a combination of factors. I think that as you're going through this change, different gut bacteria is being activated and deactivated, different hormones are coming up, and your body feels that a change in diet sometimes is a stressor just because your body likes consistency. Certain parts of your body like consistency, right? And so when you change something, your cortisol might be a little higher, something might change, but it's always, I've never come across it as an ongoing problem. It's been like that transitional phase
and then
issue.
It tends to slowly get better.
Yeah. And
that's what I hear.
Most people that I've ever talked to about this said it did get better, and ultimately, even if they went through a rough patch, they were like their anxiety was way lower when they were stricter on their approach.
Exactly. Hey, Granny Barry's watching.
Oh my gosh.
Would you guys do me a favor and say hi to my grandmother, Granny Barry? She's 91 years old and she's watching this YouTube from deep, deep in the bowels of Alabama.
That's awesome. Moxie has a question.
Moxie.
I have been OMAD and 98% carnivore for 4 months and lost 52 pounds. Go Moxie.
Nice,
I've never before had trouble donating blood, but last week they stuck me 6 times before they found a vein. Does keto or OMAD cause this?
Probably not. The vast majority of times, what causes this is the inexperience of the phlebotomist. That's virtually always. I've actually gotten bad sticks when I was donating blood before. Now, the only thing that your diet may have had to do with this is you may not have drank enough water. This is actually the one time when I would tell you guys to drink more water than you want. If you're going to give blood later in the day or the next day, drink more water. That way you have a larger intravascular volume of blood and it's easier to get the needle in. But for all the rest of the days of the year, just drink if you're thirsty.
Yeah, I have a lot of trouble giving blood. I just have veins that are very hard to find, except in my hands. Those easy to find, but the veins in my arms are hard. And I have to go to town on water. And I do think it is true that on keto or carnivore, we're not. So things like vegetables and fruits have a lot of water in them.
Yep.
And so we can be like just subtly underhydrated sometimes on a keto or carnivore approach. And usually we make up for that by drinking more water. And there's a range of how much water our body can deal with. So we might be in perfectly healthy range, but in terms of blood giving, it might be on the lower side. So that's easily fixed.
Yep. The day before you give blood, you should drink your body weight in ounces of water. That's the one time of the year you should do that.
I'm looking for any new ones that I didn't see.
Thought I saw a new one pop up.
Oh, wait, I did see one pop up. Hi, I'm learning how to use the YouTubes.
I'll do this one.
Okay.
HS Pafford Boat says keto, high fat diet, and liver disease. It depends on the liver disease. If you have non-alcoholic fatty liver, or if you have non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, or if you have cirrhosis, or if you have hepatitis A, B, C, D, or E, then you should eat a proper human diet. And that consists of lots of fatty meat plus or minus some veg. Nothing reverses fatty liver and steatohepatitis, so NAFLD and NASH, quicker than keto or carnivore. It's like magic for those. It'll reverse those within a few weeks to a few months.
Hi, Ken. Any advice for athlete's foot? I am a carnivore and have been fasting, but it is very stubborn.
Yeah. The number one thing is get your feet naked and get them in the sun. Fungi,
Okay.
hate sunlight.
Oh, right.
Right? How often do you see mushrooms growing in the sun? It's very seldom. They're always in the shade because they hate sunlight. The fungus in your crotch, under your armpits, on your feet, around your toes, toenails, they hate the sunlight. So 5 minutes a day, whether it's summer, fall, spring, or winter, get your socks and shoes off and get out and let the sun directly hit both sides of your feet for 5 minutes. This is good for your skin. You're going to make a tiny bit of vitamin D, but you're going to just annihilate all the fungus on your skin, on your feet. When you add that with a very, very low carbohydrate keto or carnivore diet, it won't be long before athlete's foot is a memory.
Right. Dapper Dave has a question. Bad habit of eating when I am bored. Eating protein meals, but affecting my weight loss. Is eating too much protein bad? If so, what can substitute to eat while bored? Can I just start with this one, which is you just have to stop. Like you just have to stop eating when you're bored. So that would mean make it impossible. Do things that make it impossible to eat, like a hobby that requires your hands, or just talking to yourself about it. Like I love nothing more than putting food in my mouth. And I just had to be like, no, I am not going to snack. I'm not going to do it. You don't seem inclined. I still have to talk to myself like, nope.
No, I don't at all.
Nope.
But now I'll tell you, used to back 7 years ago, I'd be at the clinic. I would have snacks in every nook and cranny. Remember my cubby? I had a huge bowl of nuts, all different kinds, pine nuts, pistachios, almonds, cashews. And I would take a tongue depressor stick and I would dip it down into the almond butter, right? And then I would smush that into my nut bowl. And I called them nutsicles. And I literally, after every patient, I would have a nutsicle or 2 or 3. And this is when I was just doing low carb, messing with paleo, low carb. And even doing that, I was still slowly losing a little weight. But I mean, I used to snack constantly. And you're right. I have no desire to do that now. What time did I come in today when it finally rained me out and I got stung by hornets? 3 o'clock?
I think so.
3 or 4?
3.
Yeah, 3 because I did the IG. That's when I ate 2 big fat ribeyes with some amazing Nashville hot chicken spices that Neisha and Kim Howerton are experimenting with. But before that, I hadn't even thought of food at all. I was out with my chainsaw and my gator and my dog, and I was out in the woods. And I don't think about food anymore. But during that transition from standard American diet to keto and to carnivore, it started out, I was snacking constantly. I was just eating keto snacks. But as I went down this road, this journey, I don't feel the call, but you still do.
Well, I don't feel it's like I literally was a compulsive overeater from the time I was 8 years old, and I'm about to turn 45. So what? I am about to turn 45. So the thing is that it's like a really deeply ingrained habit in a lot of us. And habits are so hard to break.
Oh, yeah. It's like if you've bitten your fingernails since you were 3 years old.
Yeah.
And now at 45, I say, quit biting your fingernails. You're like, I'll
it's
work
not even
on
a
it.
Craving anymore. It's literally
it's like an unconscious.
It's just an unconscious desire to entertain myself with food.
Yep.
And I just have to be like, I don't do that. I don't do that.
Yep. Linda says, how dangerous is it to stop some of your meds on your own? Linda, it may or may not be dangerous, but you never need to do this because you're flipping a coin. You don't know if it's dangerous or not. You need to talk to your doctor, say, hey, I'm eating a proper human diet now. My blood pressure is better. My blood sugar is better. My A1C is back to normal. Is it okay if I stop these medicines? Do I need to wean these medicines down slowly, or can I stop them cold turkey? Or do I need to switch to a different, less aggressive medication? That's a conversation you need to have with your doc. Great question.
For sure. Big Midge wants to know, Are exogenous ketone bases overrated for losing weight on a ketogenic diet? I'm going to start nodding right now.
My head's going to dislocate.
We're just going to do that. There's another second question. We'll go on to the next one.
So exogenous ketones, if you're going to use them for weight loss or for energy or for what else do they even promote them for?
They promote them for mental focus, weight loss, energy.
Waste of money. You're going to get all the ketones you need. Your body makes them for free. You just have to eat a real whole food, one ingredient, fatty meat keto diet or ketovore or carnivore. You're going to make all the ketones your body needs. There's a few instances where we recommend exogenous ketones. That's for a very young child with ADD or autism or some other neurological condition, and you just can't force them to eat keto. Or a very elderly friend or relative who has dementia, and it's going to be a huge fight if you try to take their toast and jam and their orange juice away from them. In those situations, you can add some exogenous ketones to their diet, perhaps even surreptitiously, so you don't have a fight about it, because you don't want to fight with people who are with dementia. It tears them up. It just rocks their entire world. Don't fight with them. Slip them in when they're not looking. Put it in their oatmeal, put it in their orange juice, put it underneath the jam on top of the toast, because as people get older, they can't burn the glucose. It's for their brain. That's one of the biggest mechanisms of dementia. So get those exogenous ketones in there if you can't get them to eat their bacon and eggs.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that express, but I feel more energetic when I take them. But the thing that you need to think about is the fact that a lot of ketones that are on the market are, they add salts to them. They're ketone salts. So I think what's helping quite a bit to the feeling of vitality, and actually where people say they help with keto flu, is that it's the electrolyte part, but you could just take some electrolytes for a lot less money.
A lot less money. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. The second part, do you recommend Berberine?
If your A1C is not back down to normal, then Berberine works just as good in most of the studies that I've seen. It works just as good as glucophage or metformin. So if you'd rather not take a prescription, then talk to your doctor and say, hey, I want to take Berberine instead.
All right. Can a large daily amount of buffalo mozzarella decrease a man's testosterone levels?
Well, regular mozzarella, no, but buffalo mozzarella, no, I'm just messing with you. If it's a full-fat cheese, I haven't seen any research showing that full-fat cheese reduces a man's testosterone. Now, the sugar-added tomato sauce of a pizza or the wings, the breading that comes from grains, if you're eating your buffalo wings on a pizza, then the crust, all that stuff is going to lower your testosterone. But the chicken and a full-fat mozzarella cheese, no, that's fine.
All right.
Wear it out.
Kelly says,
Kelly.
Type 2 diabetic, 8.8 A1C, 12 Novolog, 56 Lantus, on C for 1 week. We peds down?
I think she must have meant so many pounds down. But
she's some number of pounds down. Fasting sugar is 148. Doctor wants me on Trulicity and metformin. Too many drugs. Ketones if I fast and no insulin. No eating means no insulin?
No eating is going to mean less insulin for you. Now, eventually, if you are truly a type 2 diabetic, and a lot of people with type 2 have been misdiagnosed, have your doctor check a C peptide to make sure that you're a type 2 and not a type 1. But if you are truly a type 2, then the longer you eat keto and the longer you do some daily intermittent fasting, the less and less insulin you're going to need. Go to your doctor and say, hey, I don't want to fool with this Trulicity for sure because the copay is stupid. I'll take the metformin if you want me to. I think that's a good compromise. And then keep lowering your carbohydrates slowly. And you really need a CGM because you're on insulin, right? Because as you eat lower carb, you're going to need less and less insulin. And as you intermittent fast, you're going to need less and less insulin. So if you have a continuous glucose monitor that you can watch your blood sugar on your phone, you'll know exactly what you need and don't need. But if you're having to prick your finger every 2 hours, then first of all, you're blind for 119 minutes out of each 2 hour period. But then you're having to prick your finger all the time. So get a CGM that your doctor can write you an order. And then as you keto and intermittent fast, you're going to use less and less and less insulin. But tell your doc you want to hold off on the Trulicity.
Yeah. The CGM, I can't recommend them enough, right?
They're just If there's a doctor out there and they have type 1 or type 2 or LADA patients and they do not give them a CGM, that's idiotic. Let me beat around the bush here. That's dumb. That's stupid. That's mean. That's disrespectful. Every diabetic needs a continuous glucose monitor. If your doctor refuses to get you one and you're a diabetic, you need to fire that doctor's ass and go get you another doctor.
Right.
That
was restrained.
Okay.
Restrained.
I was trying to hold back.
I understand. Craig says 11-month strict carnivore, A1C 5.6, cholesterol 244, trigs 99, HDL 54, LDL 170, blood pressure 126/78. Issue now is I constantly clear throat and produce too much phlegm.
Interesting. So I don't know if you're including dairy in your carnivore or not, but if you are, for me, too much dairy is a constantly. Okay. And so I limit my dairy now to butter and ghee and occasional cheese almost as a treat. I can't do too much dairy, especially liquid dairy. If I put more than a teaspoon of heavy cream in my coffee, I'm going to be clearing my throat. The second thing that comes to mind would be spices, rubs, condiments, sauces that you think are okay, but they may have a spice in there that causes a histamine release. Or it could be a little more carby than you think it is, and that's causing an inflammatory response. Anything else you can think of?
I get it with high-fat drinks. So, like, if I put cream in my coffee or butter in my coffee, I'll get acid reflux. But I'm fine with the coffee and I'm fine with the cream. But when I put them together, it's a problem.
That's odd.
Yeah. So I'm not sure why that is, but I've heard that from other people. So one thing you could do is to keep a journal. Notice what you ate the day in a few hours before you notice there's some phlegmy, acid refluxy things happening, and see if you can see a pattern. Because
sometimes you can be having silent reflux, which means that you don't have heartburn, you don't have GERD pain, but you just clear your throat and have a cough. That's some people's only symptom of reflux. And for me, it was my last symptom. I used to have severe heartburn, but now I have a hiatal hernia. I always will have it. It's fine, but I have no symptoms now unless I get carried away with the dairy. And then my one symptom of my used to be severe heartburn is I'll have the throat clearing and a little coughing.
Yeah. The other thing that I know, this is random but true, is I get that throat thing from my seasonal allergies. It has nothing. It has very little that I can find to do with anything I'm eating. Certain times of the year, I just am phlegmier.
Michelle says, can almond milk be inflammatory? For some of us, yes, 100%. If it's got added sugar, then for 100% of us, yes. Good question.
The thing about almond milk compared to almonds is it's mostly water, but if you're sensitive to almonds
and chemicals
thanks. So Christina would like to know, can Ketovore cause a low alkaline phosphatase? Mine has been between 12 and 15, and my doctor's theory is it a long-term side effect of Guillain-Barré.
Maybe. I'm glad you've talked to your doctor about it, because there are a couple of very rare conditions that can give you a low alkaline phosphatase, but they're very, very rare. For most people, a low alkaline phosphatase is meaningless. It's just normal. Some of us just have that, and I notice it much more frequently on a keto or a carnivore diet. And I think the reason is because when they were setting the normal range for alkaline phosphatase, everybody was eating a lot of junk food.
What does it do?
So we use it for several different things. You can use it as a marker for liver or uterus or intestine. And so you can actually get a fractionated alkaline phos. It breaks it down into all the different body parts. And then, because you never do that for a low one, but for a high one, you do that to see, is it liver or is it intestine or is it uterus? But with a low one, if you don't have those rare conditions, it's nothing to worry about.
Got it. Oh, by the way, did you tell them who I am?
I did, but I'll tell them again. This is Kim Howerton, the ketonist. She has a Facebook page, which I linked to in the show notes. She has a YouTube channel, which she's going to be much more aggressive at posting videos here in the near future. I posted that. And she also has a website, kimhowerton.com. Tell them your story. Give us a little.
All right. So I'm currently a coach, right? I coach on health topics and keto, and I hang out a lot with Dr. Barry and Neisha Barry because they're my friends. But I am somebody who's lost 90 pounds on keto, 90 pounds. And so I'm somebody that came into keto with PCOS, hypothyroidism, chronic depression, irritable bowel. Major depressive. I said that. And
you should say that twice.
It was a big deal. I started having it when I was like 9. So it was a long time.
Yeah.
And then I went keto. I've done periods of keto, Ketovore, Carnivore, low carb. I've done all that through my journey. And I specifically work with people that are frustrated, like they're not
lots of weight to lose, not losing much weight,
and not seeing the success that they thought they'd get.
And she's really good at it. So if you're in that category, go to her website and check out her coaching program. She's pretty amazing, even if I do say so myself. But let's talk about the depression some more.
Oh, sure, yeah.
How long after keto did you, or low carb? Where did you start noticing? Hey, I feel like I feel better.
So I would say that within 10 weeks of starting keto, I noticed that. Like, I will tell you, it's not like I feel like I'm cured, but I can now say, I'm having a bad day. And
just call it that.
And just call it, like, it's like it used to be that when I was having depression symptoms come in, it was so overwhelming that I couldn't function. Right. Or I could like do the basics.
Yeah. And I'm sure you tried several different medications.
I've tried a ton of medications. I did manage to gain a lot of weight with the medications, but that was the only effect I seemed to get. None of them helped. And ultimately, it was 2 things. The first thing I did that actually helped was get my hypothyroidism diagnosed 100%. And start medicating properly.
Everybody listening, if you have depression, you're on medication for it. If your doctor hasn't checked a full thyroid panel, listen to Kim Howerton. That is one of the most common causes of clinical depression is an undiagnosed hypothyroidism. Hugely important.
Yeah. So the world changed completely when I got on desiccated thyroid hormone, but I still would fall in these holes. And then I went keto pretty quickly after it sort of were all in the same part of my health journey. I went low carb and then keto. And when I went fully keto, it got, again, like another 10-fold better. And now, like, I do notice, I'm like, oh, I've been feeling off for a few days and I need to address that and look at it and evaluate it, but I can handle it. It's sort of like you have a distance from the things that try to take you down. And I haven't had a non-functional week since I started keto, like a week where I'm like locked in my house and not wanting to go out.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So which one of the FDA approved prescription medications for depression worked better than keto for your depression?
None of them.
Not a single one?
None of them.
Not a combination of 2 or 3?
None of them.
None of that?
None of them. I would say the thyroid medication was a godsend. Like, that was amazing.
Which is not really a medication.
Right.
It's a hormone.
It's a hormone.
Replacement.
And I use natural desiccated thyroid.
Yep.
So I guess the natural desiccated thyroid replacing the thyroid I was missing, the supplemental thyroid was, again, the biggest change.
Game changer.
Total game changer. And then going keto on top of that. And when I was carnivore, so I've done periods of carnivore. And when I was carnivore, once I got through the first few weeks, that was quite honestly even a little better.
Yep,
on the depression issues.
I love it.
All right. Michael says, carnivore 2 months, glucose after 8 hours. I'm guessing that's 8 hours fasted. Yep. 90s after meal 110.
How long should it take for glucose to lower? So it may or may not lower, Michael. That may be your normal glucose. The way you're going to know for sure if you fixed your metabolic issues underlying is you're going to go see your doctor and you're going to get a hemoglobin A1C. And you're going to get a C peptide, and you're going to get a fasting insulin checked. And if any of you guys missed those 3, you can just go back and watch this part again and write those down. But those 3 are going to tell you about your metabolic health, whether you're pre-diabetic, whether you're hyperinsulinemic, whether you're type 2 diabetic or type 1 diabetic. It's going to tell you all that. So for many people on a carnivore diet, they notice that they have higher blood sugars in the morning than they do for the rest of the day. A few notice they have higher after a meal, but that's usually if you've eaten some carbs in that meal. That's usually what happens there. But you got to get an A1C and a C-peptide and a fasting insulin so you know exactly what's going on with your average daily health. That's the big thing, because you can't always tell by a morning blood sugar if you fixed your metabolic issues or not. Hey, are you going to the Keto Summit in Omaha, Nebraska?
I indeed am.
You are?
I am.
So me and Neisha and baby Beckett and Kim Howerton are going to be at the Keto Summit in Omaha, Nebraska. When is it? August the 19th and 20th. And there's going to be a lot of big name keto people there, and us. We'll be there as well. But if you'd like to go, tickets are on sale now. That's what the website looks like. And Neisha, do you have that? Can you put a link? Yeah. Neisha will put a link in the comments that you can just click on if you'd like to get tickets. If you live anywhere near Omaha, which is really nowhere, because out west everything's really far apart.
Yeah,
but that'd be awesome to meet you.
It's funny that you think of Omaha as out west.
It's Midwest.
It's true. It is Midwest.
It has west in the name.
West. Okay, fine.
Yeah. Berkeley is west.
Pretty west.
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'd love to meet you in
Yeah.
Omaha, Nebraska, and you can meet Kim Howerton, and most importantly,
Baby
Neisha and baby Beckett. You can meet them in Omaha, Nebraska, on August the 19th and 20th.
So it's a weekend. You know, you can totally do it.
A weekend in Omaha. Who doesn't want that?
I mean, come on. That's
And
bragging rights.
it's not in the middle of winter.
It's not like it was last year.
Yeah.
That was fun. I had to buy a special Coke just for
Last year it was 4 degrees.
Freezing.
Yeah.
Chuck says he is a strict carnivore for 14 weeks, lost 45 pounds. Go, Chuck.
Yes.
Blood sugars low to mid 200s all day, even on a 48-hour fast. 1,000 milligrams of metformin. C-peptide last week was 2.7.
Gotcha. I need to know what your A1C is and a fasting insulin. The C-peptide, that's pretty darn good. A C-peptide of 2.7. But if you're still running in the mid 200s, that makes me worry that there's something else going on with you, or that your carnivore is including some spices and rubs and condiments and sauces that contain too many carbohydrates for you.
Right. Don't
forget, some processed meat has added sugar. You got to look, if it's any kind of processed meat, you got to read those ingredients like a hawk. And if you don't know what a word means, you got to look it up.
AM asks, is eating 2 hours before bed as bad as they say? Been eating cottage cheese or an egg or two?
The only bad thing I can find in the research about eating close to bedtime is it increases your risk of heartburn and reflux. And you don't get as many hours of your intermittent fast as you would get otherwise. I find that I sleep better, sleep deeper, and awake more rested if I don't eat at least 4 hours before bed. But all the stuff about eating too soon before bedtime will cause you to gain weight. Have you seen any research that backs that up at all?
Not any real. I mean, I've seen blogs and opinion
Lots
pieces.
of blog posts and opinions, yes.
But I do think it's that, and there is some advice to people. They'll tell people to have some high protein, like diabetics, right? It wasn't that some advice like on a traditional diet.
Yep.
Because on a traditional diet, when you're hungry constantly, you might wake up because you're hungry and you should eat that. But I do think there's just so much benefit to extending that fast a little bit.
Yep.
And I do think you sleep a little better for most people if you're fat adapted with not eating quite so close to bed.
Yep, exactly.
Okanagan. No, I don't know how to say that. Okanagan. There we go. Keto and Dr. Berry changed my life for the better. You are awesome, Ken. Would love to see Marion Nestle as a guest.
I like a lot of the stuff she has to say. I will reach out to her on Twitter because she's very interesting and very personable. I'd like to have her on the live too. Thanks for the idea.
Sorry that I can't say Okanagan.
Don't forget that.
All right, Marion Nestle. Got it. Charles says diagnosed with PTC. What's PTC?
I'm not sure.
Okay. On Diamox and Topramate. Neuro is hung up on morbid obesity and meds, appetite loss, but he says keto will cause acidosis.
So I'm not sure. Type out in the comments because there's 2 or 3 conditions that have the abbreviation PTC. I'm not sure. So you're taking Topamax and Diamox, and the neuro says it's all because you're morbidly obese. And the Topamax, we do use that in medicine to suppress appetite, but it has a ton of potential side effects. That's not really a great use of it. Keto might cause some electrolyte issues if you're taking too many electrolytes with the Diamox, but the Topamax, I'm not aware of any reason that eating a proper human diet would increase your risk of acidosis with that. If you can't tell that the Topamax is helping you, I'd probably talk to your doctor about weaning that down, which you need to do with Topamax. Don't stop it cold turkey. Wean that down and stop that if you don't feel like it's helping you. And you might be surprised at the benefits you get from a proper human diet.
All right. Barbara asks, hubby takes Geodon and has gained significant Geodon. And why do they make all of these pronounced not like a normal word?
Because they have to be able to get a copyright on it.
Oh, okay. And has gained a significant amount of weight. It's trying to keep the mental part stable. How can he lose weight? He has Graves' disease, a burned up thyroid.
So first of all, he has to take thyroid replacement hormone. Go back to that one for a second. I may forget something. He has to take thyroid replacement hormone. So don't let them give him levothyroxine or Synthroid. That's fake T4. He needs a real thyroid replacement, a desiccated thyroid. Okay. He needs Armour thyroid, NP thyroid, WP thyroid, or if you guys are in Canada, it's called ERFA, ERFA. That's what he needs. And that's going to be just like he's got a thyroid again, once they get that regulated properly. Number 2, Geodon, absolutely, one of its main side effects is it will make you fat, no doubt about it. So he needs to be eating as low carb as you can get him to eat, lovingly and gently and diplomatically. But the lower carb he eats, he'll stop gaining weight. And at some point when he gets the carbs low enough, he's going to start to lose weight, but it's going to be very slow on the Geodon. It's not going to be nearly as fast as he wants or you want. But the most important thing right now is to stop the weight gain. Right. And so, yeah, I think that'll help.
Okay. Jill says, I've been on desiccated thyroid for 1 year and still feel awful.
Yeah, here's what's probably going on, Jill. Your doctor is probably used to prescribing Synthroid and levothyroxine, and they know exactly what dose to put you on. But many doctors are very uncomfortable when it comes to Armour, Nature, WP, NP, and ERFA. And so they'll just put you on a low dose of it. But there's actually a conversion chart that you can look up online. So if you remember how much Synthroid or levothyroxine you were taking, you can actually say, okay, 100 of Synthroid, I should be taking 60 of Armour. And I guarantee your doctor's got you on 30, which means you're on half as much medicine as you need. So look up the conversion chart from Synthroid to Armour, and then figure out how much Synthroid you were taking in the past and see if your doctor hasn't shortchanged you. Not because they're being mean, but because any new medicine, a doctor's always hesitant to go too crazy with it too quick. And if your doctor's not comfortable with desiccated thyroid, that's a very common knee-jerk response for a doctor is to give you just a little dose. Did your doctor do that when you first started?
No, I mean, I come from, luckily, a land of people that are very well-versed.
That is true. California, I think it was invented there, actually.
But I will say that even with that, like I started on natural desiccated. I didn't move over from Synthroid. But so you might have not, that might be similar for you, but it took me almost a year for them to actually dial in the appropriate dosage. So I had to take a dose, get retested, take doses, get retested. So it was a very active, interactive process.
That's the proper way to do thyroid medication. You don't just put somebody on a dose and say, okay, I'll see you in 6 months. That's not how it's supposed to be. I got tested
every 8 weeks for a while.
Yeah, every month, every 2 months, I used to do every 6 weeks. I'll put you on a dose, come back in 6 weeks, we'll recheck it. That's how you do it, because I guarantee you're not taking enough, and that's why you still feel awful.
Yeah, if your dosage hasn't been changed at all in that first year, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not surprised. I got absolutely carnivorous here. Dr. Barry, I have a friend. She's in kidney failure. Or I have a friend. She has a friend. He is on dialysis in kidney failure. Could keto or carnivore be beneficial or dangerous? I'm low carb myself and been trying to share info.
So I'm certain that he's still a human being, so he needs a proper human diet. He's already on dialysis, which means his kidney function is gone. So he can eat, literally, he can eat whatever he wants now it's not going to harm his kidney function because he has none. That's why he's on dialysis. So eating fatty meat is good for every part of your body. And since he's already on dialysis, if the kidney doctor says, oh, that'd be very bad for his kidneys, you can go, what? He's on dialysis. What are you talking about? You can make that face. But yes, your friend would absolutely benefit from a keto or a carnivore diet.
Okay. Charles asked, is carnivore good for possible thiamine deficiencies with Wernicke-Korsakoff?
Yep. Just look up thiamine-rich foods, do a little search, and you'll find that meat and animal products are very rich in thiamine. Keep in mind that if you've had Wernicke-Korsakoff for a long time, sometimes the symptoms can become permanent. That's why we don't want people to be chronic alcoholics. Not that I'm saying you are or were, just saying that's very common, is to have B vitamin deficiencies and wind up with permanent Wernicke-Korsakoff symptoms. So thiamine, yes, 100%. All the B vitamins, you need them, and you're going to find them in meat.
Silver says,
Silver Fang.
Question. It's interesting that they have a toothpaste question. Anyway, will toothpaste or mouthwash with a pleasant taste cause cephalic phase insulin response?
Maybe in some of us, maybe not in others of us. Now, pleasant taste, if you're saying minty or cinnamon, probably not much. But if it's sweet, like if you're using your kids', sugar toothpaste, that's probably going to bump your insulin up enough to turn off your, break a fast and to stop fat loss for a few minutes or a few hours. But if it's just got a little mint in it and there's no sugar and not much sweet taste, it's probably not going to matter. And you should brush your teeth. Yeah,
I would say if you're weighing the pros and cons, pick the best toothpaste you can and then use it.
Yes.
Chuck, so we answered his question earlier. A1C was 6.4, C-peptide was 2.7.
Yep.
Not use any rubs or sauces, meat, eggs, and a little hard cheese.
There's got to be some. If your C-peptide was 2.7, there's got to be some carbs in there somewhere, Chuck. Otherwise, either that or you're the very first person who I've seen who can normalize their C-peptide and still have an elevated A1C.
Yeah,
I've never seen that in a carnivore. Those numbers to me say that you got some carbs that are sneaking in your mouth, and I'm sure you're not aware of them. But you're going to have to do some research because you're getting carbs from somewhere.
I apparently skipped a question.
You may be drinking something that you think is zero carb that's not. For instance, cold coffee. Most cold coffees have 2 or 3 grams of carbohydrate per serving. What's a serving? 8 ounces?
8 ounces, or it depends, but 8 or 8 or so.
And so if you're guzzling cold coffee all day, you may be getting 20 grams of protein a day.
This is 20 ounces, right? So 8 ounces is this much.
Yep.
It's very different than what we think of as a cup.
Yep. So with fresh eyes, go back over everything you're drinking and eating and smoking and chewing, and make sure there's no sugar, nothing that converts to sugar, like corn fiber. Mm-hmm. There's lots of fibers that they call fiber that convert immediately to sugar in your body. You may notice one of your condiments or sauce or rub has corn fiber or oat fiber, and you think, well, it says zero carb. Well, that's not true. They're lying to you. It's a lot of that is going to convert to carbs, but there's carbs somewhere. You just got to route them out.
All right. Bach says, diagnosed with acute diverticulitis, hospitalized with IV ciprofloxacin and
metronidazole.
All right. Is keto carnivore safe for me with diverticulitis?
100%. Yeah, you've got diverticulosis every day, but when one of the diverticuli flares up, then you got diverticulitis. And sometimes it's just crampy and you have diarrhea. Sometimes you're in the hospital on IV Cipro and IV metronidazole, right? It can be really bad, almost life-threatening. Granny Berry had a case of diverticulitis, and that's what caused her to say, you know what, I'm done with the bread and the cookies and the breakfast cereal. I'm going to start eating bacon and eggs like you told me to, because it almost killed her. So, keto carnivore is 100% safe for you, and it's really mandatory because the things that actually are truly associated with a flare-up of diverticulitis are being obese, are smoking, are eating lots of carbohydrates, processed carbs, ground up grains, ground up seeds, stuff like that. So I wouldn't eat any nut butters. I wouldn't eat any kind of ground up grain or seed or nut. So I would, if I had diverticulitis, I wouldn't even eat almond butter or cashew butter. I wouldn't eat any of that. I would eat whole things only. Keto or carnivore 100% is going to decrease your risk of having another bad diverticulitis flare up.
Right. I mean, it's an inflammation, right?
And it can be an infection, thus the Cipro and metronidazole, but 99% of the time it's not. It's just inflammation.
Yeah.
Because these antibiotics, they have anti-inflammatory properties.
Okay.
And so we use them assuming it's an infection because it's in your colon, but almost never. If you actually went in and got a biopsy and did a culture, there'd be no bacteria.
So it would make sense that the things that would reduce inflammation are going to reduce the issues.
See, she's smart. I like that.
A to B, people.
A to
All
B.
right. So Jesse says, I'm carnivore 7 months, no dairy or coffee, no weight loss. Sorry, Jesse, I'm sure that's really frustrating. I have 80 pounds to drop. What do you suggest I try and tweak? I'm 44, no health issues.
44, no health issues.
Is she me?
So you could be Kim Howerton, in which case you might want to look into her course at kimhowerton.com. But things that I would check is make sure you've had a full thyroid panel and you don't have undiagnosed hypothyroidism. Get a full sex hormone panel. And for a woman, that's testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. For a man, it's free and total testosterone. And make sure your hormones are optimized. If they're not, it's almost impossible to lose weight. Third, give your body time to heal. You've been eating a crap diet for how many decades? 4 decades. So don't expect your body to just immediately heal and immediately be like, okay, I forgive you. We're friends again in a few weeks or even a few months. Sometimes it takes quite a while for your body to heal, for your metabolism to go back to normal, and for your body to decide it's safe to lose some stored fat. Because as I was saying on my Instagram live, your body doesn't know how overweight you are, right? And our DNA has been on this planet for a long time. And in the past, hundreds of thousands of years ago, if you're losing fat, that was dangerous. That was really bad. That means either there's a famine and you're starving, or you fell down a hill and broke your arm and you can't hunt. And so you're having to live on your stored body fat. Your body doesn't know you need to lose that 80 pounds. It just knows that you're burning fat and it's freaking it out. Give it time to calm down. Check those labs. Give your body time to heal. The weight loss will come. And don't forget, you're getting hundreds of other health benefits from eating a proper human diet. Don't forget that.
How long after being carnivore should you become 100% insulin sensitive again and be able to eat mango without a spike in glucose like a normal person?
So here's the news flash, Flower Bomb. No normal person can gorge on mango and not have a blood sugar spike.
Unless they're actually running from a cheetah simultaneously.
Yeah, if you're sprinting at full speed and you're 17 years old and you're skinny as a rail, you might be able to gorge on mango and not have a blood sugar spike. Most normal people don't check their blood sugar 30 minutes and an hour after a mango binge, right? So they don't know. They just assume their blood sugar didn't spike. Every human being's blood sugar spikes when they have a mango binge or a green grape binge or a banana binge. All those things raise your blood sugar for every single human being. So there's this fake paradigm out there that you can become completely insulin sensitive.
Right.
That never happens. That's a myth. Okay. All of us to some degree are insulin resistant. The time of day matters. The time of month matters for half the population. If you're pregnant, if you're breastfeeding, if you are a growing child, if you are any number of things, and then also as you get older, you become naturally more insulin resistant. Being insulin resistant is not bad. Being too insulin resistant. And that's why I like to talk about hyperinsulinemia. Yeah. Because then you're like, oh, okay, I get it. I just need to get my insulin back to normal and then I'm okay. But even people with a normal insulin level, normal C-peptide, they still have some degree of insulin resistance. That's normal. Does that make sense?
Absolutely makes sense.
That was good? Okay.
Yeah. And like, I can tell you, like, as an example, based on my experience over the 5 years I've been keto, is that I am now what I would term it's a continuum. I'm in the more insulin sensitive range.
You're less insulin resistant than you used to be.
More insulin sensitive than I used to be.
But that's a great way to put it. It's always a balance. Yeah. Okay. And so even if this is your insulin sensitivity, you still got this resistance down here. And that's normal. You should have that because of the changes The hundreds of changes that happen during your life, including getting older, getting pregnant, getting injured, getting sick, getting stressed, all those things matter. And you need that balance, because sometimes you want to be more insulin resistant, and that's actually a good thing.
It'll help you survive.
Exactly right.
Right. Tanya wants to know, if you have a lower end of normal folate, I know liver is good. I'm craving liverwurst. Do I have to watch for vitamin A issues?
No, you don't. I say this a lot because there's so many people out there saying, oh, if you eat too much liver, you will get vitamin A toxicity. I have searched the literature and searched the literature. I have not found a single case report, much less a case study, of people who are eating duck liver, chicken liver, goose liver, cow liver, pork liver, sheep's liver, and having vitamin A toxicity. To my knowledge, there is no reported case of that ever happening. The two cases are one guy who ate too much polar bear liver, and evidently polar bears have mugu gaipan vitamin A in their liver. And then the puffer fish and another kind of fish in Japan, that if you eat too much of its liver, you'll get vitamin A toxicity. Eating the livers of domesticated animals, you are not going to have a vitamin A toxicity issue. That is a myth. Great question.
Yeah.
Eat your liver.
Janie says, any special transition needs for my 81-year-old mother with hypertension, type 2 diabetes, and decreased kidney function?
Thank you, Janie, for the super chat and for loving your mom and wanting to do what's best for her, regardless of what her age is. I would transition slowly. I would do it. There's no rush. There's no need to push her. There's no need to argue with her ever. She's your mama. Do what mama says. But you can gently lead her towards a more ketogenic diet. She doesn't have to go hardcore carnivore. She doesn't have to go hardcore keto. Even reducing her total carbohydrate intake to under 50 total grams a day, and then making sure she's eating enough fat that she's getting plenty of ketones for her brain, she's going to feel so much better. She's going to perform better. Her mental is going to be better. Everything's going to be better. And then if she's agreeable and she's like, hey, I feel better, let's do more of that, then you can lower the carbs down more. Yeah, but gently, lovingly, respectfully.
And also, I think that transitioning people when they have had a long period of time not being low carb or keto, it can be helpful to cook things that feel sort of celebratory and good. I mean, I'm not saying like load on the fakey stuff, but literally there are things you can cook that feel extra special.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And you never have to say the K word if she's spooky about that, or if her doctor freaks out that she's eating keto. Don't say that. Just say she's not eating any processed food. We're just going to eat meat and veg, because that's what keto is. Meat and veg. Right.
Yeah. The other day, just yesterday, Neisha and I were making a frittata, also known as a breakfast casserole. And we looked at each other and we're like, we're calling this keto, but this is just food.
It's just delicious.
Food.
And it was freaking awesome.
It's just food.
It was just delicious food. Yeah. That's actually real delicious food.
And that's kind of the way. And I was saying, well, when you go to fancy restaurants, unless it's like specifically like a pasta dish or whatever, it's pretty low carb usually. Like the fancier, the lower carb it tends to be.
Absolutely, yeah. And anybody who says meat and veg, like, oh, keto's dangerous, it's weird, I don't know. Anybody who says meat and veg is not good for a human, they got to screw loose. They need to go see somebody.
They get the raised eyebrows from me.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Meat and veg is bad for humans. Okay.
Right. Val says, I was recently put on Dupixent and had several allergic reactions. 103 days Ketovore, wondering if Ketovore will help the photosensitive eczema.
Probably. It's going to at least make it less severe and less flare-uppy. You may have to go completely carnivore for 30, 60, 90 days to really calm down all the inflammation and then start reintroducing some veg. But you also need to give the Dupixent time to get completely out of your system. It's one of the meds that can be stored in fat, and so it can have a longer half-life inside your body. So give it time, and don't forget, even if Ketovore doesn't fix that, you're still fixing and preventing hundreds of other issues in your body.
When do we?
Oh, we went over. Let's do one more question.
One more? Okay, sorry if we missed anybody.
You guys are worth going 5 minutes over. Okay. We're going to do one more question.
Coley says, down 52 pounds, six-pack rockin', almost 30. Good job. I will say I've noticed that strict keto has tapered my auras preceding a seizure. I am on AED, but I feel much safer while on keto 6 months, neuro approved.
Yep.
But that's not 100%. A question, just
very high-fat keto is the way for you to go. And you should notice that you either have no seizures or much less frequent seizures, and the aura should be much less pronounced. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out Kim Howerton's links down in the show notes. Thank you to our Facebook supporters. We love you guys. You're our Tuesday tribe. Thank you to our patrons on patreon.com. You are our keto family and carnivore family too. Baby Beckett's not here tonight, but he says hi and blows a snot bubble. Neisha, where's Neisha? Why?
Neisha.
I thought you were going to come say hi. You better hurry.
And then, I don't know if it's a problem to tell them that you might be doing a live with me that we might be broadcasting.
Yeah. When are we doing that?
We're gonna do that tomorrow.
Tomorrow
it's at on my channel. So the links on the YouTube, we'll do it on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
and
you
Facebook
can
both.
Facebook, you can check it there. And we do it at Hi Neisha.
Neisha saw us I've married. Ah!
I did it.
My Coke because
She was cold.
yeah.
All right.
Yes. All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Feel free to share this video if you think it'll help somebody improve their health. We'll see you next week right here, right at this time. See you later. Bye.
Bye.